Welcome back, Mr. Goodberry. The First Star Logistics studio is fully equipped and ready to record.
Welcome back to Bengals on the Brain, presented by First Star Logistics. This is episode 89, and best 89 in Bengals history. This one's pretty easy. They haven't had a great one, but they did have a Pro Bowler in 1982, Dan Ross. Had a solid career, had over 3,000 receiving yards as a tight end. 89 is a very tight end number, although the Bengals did have Jerome Simpson wear that and have some career and NFL highlights, to be honest with you. That flip over the Cardinals will be played for a long time. Current 89 on the Bengals. Drew Sample finally carved out a role after being a second-round pick, never living up to, I honestly don't even believe he had the upside. It's hard for me to even say he had the receiving upside. He did not, coming out of Washington. Didn't, deserve to be a second-round pick, but he's still on the team, has signed multiple extensions at this point, a 3-year extension this past offseason. He is their best blocker. He is a good blocker. He's the guy with the size and bulk. So if they're going to block at all, it's going to be Drew Sample at that position. So that's it for 89. But today's episode, what we want to do is I would like to go back and watch some old games with you and see if YouTube is going to flag us and kick us off and do all these things. If not, we're going to post it somewhere else, possibly Twitter. We'll put the link out there. If not, at Joe Goodberry at First Star Logistics, as we do every Tuesday and Friday when you're looking for Bengals on the Brain. And this one's going to be from 2004, one of the coming out party games for Carson Palmer, Marvin Lewis, one of the games that made you believe. And it's against the Baltimore Ravens week 13. So without further ado, let's jump in, and let's sit back and watch that game. Enjoy it. It's a fun one. Okay, 2004 week 13 Bengals at Baltimore Ravens. Bengals are 5-6 at this time. Ravens are 7-4. And this was a moment in Bengals history where it was kind of a coming out moment because it's the second year of Marvin Lewis. They go 8-8 in 2003, but they drafted Carson Palmer first overall that year. He sits all of 2003 and starts in 2004. And as you can see, they're not where they want to be. They're under 500. But Carson Palmer starts heating up, and it's around this time where they start to believe. So, right away, we're going to see T.J. Houshmandzadeh out of the slot. We're going to see Chad Johnson make a lot of big plays. Rudy Johnson starting now at this point. And they're able to run out of 3 wide receiver sets, under center, 3 wide receiver sets. So this is like the era of the NFL where 3 wide receivers was becoming very popularized. And we've got a big play right away. Ed Reed, of course, a lot of playmakers on the Ravens side of the field here. Yeah, I guess that was a fumble. Ed Reed going nuts. I wanted to go back real fast. I wanted to see, was that Tony Stewart at tight end, or was that Reggie Kelly? Maybe neither. Matt Schobel. Okay, so Matt Schobel was a super athlete tight end with a lot of speed. I think at one point he caught like an 89-yard pass down the middle. Went all the way for a touchdown, not in this game, but Chester Taylor. But he never turned out to be much of anything. His brother, Aaron Schobel, was a very good defensive end for the Bills. Todd Heap. Todd Heap was a very, very, very good tight end. Good receiver. A lot of times they're number one in a lot of ways. As has been true for the Ravens forever, they've had tight ends. 39 broken tackles, most in the NFL. That's funny. I wonder who is counting those. Comeback route, off play action, under center, right? Rudy can't pick up 94 as expected. I mean, that's a defensive tackle. And Chad on the comeback route on the sideline. Chad Johnson, it's a clean catch. Chad had such great body control, especially on the sideline. Kenny Watson was the third down back here, so we've got a 3rd and long situation. Not to pause it too much, but instantly penetration in the backfield, and Watson makes them miss and picks it up.
for Cincinnati. Palmer, protection is there. Palmer throws, broken up. 53 yards.
Third down goes through Houshmandzadeh's hands. He would have been short anyways. Would have made it an easier field goal than a 53-yarder for Shayne Graham.
For the tie. He comes up short.
Short. And Ed Reed, if you didn't notice, Ed Reed was back there because Ed Reed would return these things.
He comes up short.
But he's pissed about it.
2.8 per game. And now a 1st and 10.
Ed Reed was a great return man, not just a safety.
Chester Taylor breaks a tackle. And Taylor able to break into that second level to the 40.
So Jonathan Ogden's been out at times. Jamal Lewis is not in this game, and then missing a weapon like Todd Heap.
Ravens are missing
9 weeks. Just haven't had the stability.
Jamal Lewis, they're starting back.
And 3.
Chester Taylor was a good player, though. I mean, a quality player. He wasn't anything special.
Out in motion, Jamel White. 3rd down, Bowler. Quick throw to Heap. And a 1st down.
Deltha O'Neal with the tackle on the outside.
Trying to keep this drive alive. Here's Bowler in the pocket. Bowler gets rid of it and dropped.
Not making plays for his quarterback, Kyle Bowler.
This would be
Field goal game so far. A couple 50-yarders now at this point, and they're punting it fake with a punt, a 51-yarder. Can you imagine the Ravens not kicking that now with Justin Tucker? Stover, I think, was getting older at this point.
Jeremy Johnson on 1st down. Palmer wants to throw it. Steps up, fires the deep ball. He's looking for Johnson.
I mean, that's what it was. That's why, if you don't remember the Palmer, Chad, T.J, Chris Henry era, the 04 and to 08, 09, 09 they couldn't really throw, but until 08, and then he got hurt in 08 too. So really, it was really 04 to 07. But it was, he could drop back and just absolutely out-throw your coverage and lay such a beautiful deep ball.
Palmer wants to throw it. Steps up, fires the deep ball. He's looking for Johnson. Johnson's got it. And slides down at the 30-yard line.
I mean, how doesn't Chad stand his feet there, right? Sometimes tracking the ball deep does that to you.
Big 3rd and 3. Palmer throwing. Too high for Kenny Watson.
And sometimes Palmer would miss the layup like that as well. Remember, this is his first year starting. So we're field goal trading back and forth. Now 3 to 3 with under 2 minutes left. Yeah, Kyle Bowler at quarterback. The Ravens were really struggling post that Super Bowl and finding out who their quarterback would be. I thought that was Torrey Smith. Might be a couple years too early for that, actually. 82. Good receiver for the Ravens. Deltha O'Neal with the sack. Deltha O'Neal coming off the corner, closest to us on the screen here.
Out of the shotgun. Bowler. Here comes the rush. Doesn't see it. And he is devoured. Deltha O'Neal.
Stay out of that field goal range for Matt Stover.
And now a
3rd and 18. Bengals must be calling timeouts here to get the clock stopped.
It's not necessarily a 1st down, but get back into field goal range. Bowler. Throw into a
Damn.
He's got his man, Travis Taylor. 28 seconds left. And a spike. Bowler, tremendous on this drive. He's 11 of 19 overall.
26 seconds left. 2nd down. Bengals only rushing 3.
Bowler looking to run down the middle and across the 5-yard line.
Where are the timeouts on this old screen? I don't think they show it, or there's none left on either side.
Well, only 10 seconds left.
You're going to get one play off, and then you're going to kick a field goal.
Down for Baltimore. Bowler looks and throws. Incomplete.
You get another one off. Hey, you could get another one off. That only took 4 seconds, maybe 3 if we're being accurate here. So it's going to be a 6-3 game. This ends up getting better in the second half. If you're wondering why is this one of the highlights, this is one of the historical moments
They're athletic. They're
in
not
Bengals history.
They're not the best tackling defense. So
It gets better.
Lewis is a true huge threat.
3rd and 4 to Kevin Johnson.
The Bengals defense was not good during the Carson Palmer era. It was opportunistic. It got its hands on a lot of balls. They weren't really good.
Because Jamal Lewis isn't playing today.
Now a passing situation on a 3rd and 9.
Best player was Justin Smith on that defense. Brian Simmons.
Can he get a 1st down? Yes, he can. And a new set of downs for the Ravens to work with.
Meanwhile, Chester Taylor's tearing us up.
Possession of this second half. Taylor through a hole. Jamel White. This is the 11th play of the drive. A 2nd and 2 from the 17. Taylor's got 71 yards on the ground. White gets the call. And White breaking out inside the 5.
So I remember this game. If you don't, I'm trying to not narrate what I know is going to happen. So we're trying to enjoy it and commentate while it's happening. So the Bengals are going to get down big here, clearly. I believe it'll be 13-3 after this extra point. We're halfway through the third. The Ravens came out of that halftime and absolutely smoked half that clock. And the Bengals come out aggressively right away. Palmer to Chad, whole shot. Ed Reed's getting there when he shouldn't be. I think he's a single high safety there, and he gets over there. We got a miss pickup by Bobby Williams. Bobby Williams was one of my favorite and most underrated Bengals of all time here at right guard. Just doesn't see it. Not the most laterally explosive dude, Bobby Williams there. He was huge, mauling, strong hands, big hands, just absolutely bare paws. Laser. Intercepted. Medea Williams, number 40 there. Talking of Dax Hill lately, Medea Williams was a corner safety. They couldn't figure out where to play him. But once he settled in at safety, he ended up getting a very nice second contract by the Minnesota Vikings.
Instead, it's the Maryland product. Palmer is 16 of 19, 167 yards. Bengals have only 3 points. Play fake on first down. Palmer throwing, high throw, and it's picked up.
And we give it right back. Ed Reed with the second turnover of the game. Is that McAllister? So the Ravens, in typical Ravens fashion, the offense stinks, right? They get one drive all game. The defense, with 2 big turnovers in this game, sets them up and gives them 10 points. Next thing you know, you're up by 17. That was the Ravens back then. They would just ground and pound. They'd get 1 or 2 drives all game on offense, get maybe 7 to 10 points out of it, and their defense would just absolutely wear you down and get the ball back consistently. Jeremy Johnson was the fullback. They had a lot of Johnsons around this time. Rudy Johnson, Chad Johnson, obviously. The story was T.J. Houshmandzadeh's mother's maiden name was Johnson. And we got a fumble on the punt here. Finally, you get one back.
Cincinnati coming away with it.
I feel like there used to be more chaos in old NFL games. And this was 20 years ago.
Here's Palmer. Little trickery. Palmer looks wide open in the end zone.
There's Chad. We got a nice little creative play here to come out of that.
At the 13-yard line.
Just one wide receiver, right? Is that a receiver? That might be Kelly Washington. It is. So those 2 wide receivers. Kind of like an orbit motion, but they're going to snap it and play action too. Kelly Washington coming around.
So the Bengals able to answer.
I think Chad runs like a post corner. I don't think they show it, but I believe it was a post corner, and they just completely leave him alone.
2nd and 9, deep drop for Bowler. He zings one underneath to Clarence Moore.
Kewan Ratliff there, 25, was their nickel corner. Was a really good return man at Florida in college. Never really became much of anything. He was an okay player. They needed better at that time. They had a lot of just okay players on defense.
And there you go. Instead of what should have been a guarantee.
It wasn't until the 05 draft where they take Pollock and Thurman back to back because they really realized they need to elevate the talent on the defense.
Rush is coming. Palmer unloads.
Good catch by T.J. Houshmandzadeh. Did you see Palmer couldn't step in the pocket, just got it up there as best as he could. He would give his receivers chances. There goes Reggie Kelly at tight end, 82. Really, really good blocker. Great dude, too, just personality-wise. And this time they give it to him. So they faked this to Kelly Washington earlier. Give it to Houshmandzadeh this time. And Houshmandzadeh wasn't the greatest athlete. He would run after the catch with just some flips of his hips, hard running, savvy running. There's Chad Johnson with another touchdown. And just like that, the Bengals are back. 2 drives in a row, 2 touchdowns. They're finally letting him throw. Very reminiscent of the 2021 Bengals 49ers game where it felt like the Bengals just couldn't keep pace with the Niners. playing their kind of game, the Niners kind of game. And then the second half, they're like, Joe, just put it on Burrow's shoulders and let him take over and let him do his thing. And he did, and the Bengals got right back into it, and that went into overtime. This is reminiscent of that similar point in the season, too.
From the 27 on a pitch, Chester Taylor through a hole, and Taylor breaking across midfield.
I always felt like there was some random backup running back going for 150 on the Bengals defense around this time.
This is a 3rd and 9 for Baltimore from the 25. They will go conservative. Chester Taylor. 38-yard attempt.
Is that Nate Clements, number 22 out there? Was this the time for that?
And it is
8 minutes left. Ravens up by 6.
Double tight end set on a 1st and 10 from the 32 for Cincinnati.
Play action.
Play action. Palmer rush coming. Palmer throws over the middle to T.J. Houshmandzadeh.
This is a pretty good offensive line for the Bengals at this point, and Palmer's still feeling the heat.
And finds a seam in stride. T.J. Houshmandzadeh. Carson Palmer has stood toe-to-toe with this Baltimore defense.
So they didn't show the route there on that one for Houshmandzadeh, but I remember that because I've watched this full game not too long ago. But he fakes the out at about 10 yards and then just breaks it in. Not so much, not an out and up, but more of a stutter and go and trying to split the middle of the field as he does it. So he was really good at reading the defense and adjusting his route accordingly. He and Carson Palmer were on the same page with a lot of that stuff. And that's what that was. And absolutely smokes that corner on that out, that fake out route.
Johnson in the backfield. Palmer, pump fake. Palmer throwing the other way, curling in.
So just like that, when I was talking about TJ just being savvy after the catch, little things like that, leaning, catching it away and could still go. Because anytime you see the ball go this way, a lot of times receivers are going to turn with it, and DBs will start to lean that way. But he would very often catch it and pull it in the other way because he felt very confident in his hands and ability to change direction, I think.
Bengals are an extra point away from taking the lead in the 4th quarter.
Marvin's losing his shit as they must be celebrating a little too much.
No props. Yeah. There were no signs.
You have to be able to have fun. I don't know.
There must have been a play there. I believe there was. Houshmandzadeh and Chad Johnson both with huge games. Bengals sending the blitz. The defense can't do anything still.
Second and 9. Give Jamel White through a hole.
Landon Johnson, number 59 there, another Johnson.
7-4 tied with Denver, but they have the tie break right now. Lead his team down the field. Instead, it's a 3rd and 17.
Somehow we got in the 3rd and 17. Bengals rushing 5, and Kyle Buller is going to skip that pass.
Murphy will hold it. This is for the lead. Stover on the approach, and it is perfect.
So to set this up, minute 42 left. Bengals now down by 2. And Marvin really wants to beat his former team, right? Remember, he was the defensive coordinator when they won that Super Bowl.
Bengals 24, a 1st and 10 for Cincinnati at its own 34-yard line. Here's Palmer on 1st down. Palmer avoids it, and now is sacked.
Give up a sack on 1st down. Let's see on the where it comes from.
Here's Palmer on 1st down. Palmer avoids it, and now is
This looks like inability to stay with the play. Eric Steinbach with that brace on his left elbow. Looked like he couldn't hold on long enough. Yeah, they got a nice stunt up front for Baltimore. Now we're in a deep hole here on offense. Palmer's got to move a little. On the run. Palmer on the run was an underrated. He wasn't a statue until the 2005 injury. He could move a little bit and enough before that. It was a different game back then. He was compared to a Drew Bledsoe who couldn't move, but he was, in my opinion, was always a little bit more athletic than Drew Bledsoe.
On a 2nd and 10 from the 42. Palmer throwing. Quick throw over the middle. He's got Schobel.
You almost never see this anymore. Plays like this where he's under center, because like imagine a quarterback being even under center right now with 50 seconds to go. You're in a clearly passing situation. You got 1 timeout remaining. You're not throwing this ball. You're saving that to get in the field goal range. And then you see a situation where a blitz is potentially coming, So you got to be hot and you got to get it to your hot receiver. But you got your five-step drop going on here. Palmer sees this, and while he's dropping back, he just throws the ball because he sees his hot option open. You never see that anymore. That's not even a thing, I think.
Right now, Carson Palmer's moving his team into field goal range.
An 11-yard gain. It's a first down. And that means Palmer can stop the clock with another spike.
So we'll need a field goal here.
Shayne Graham, the kicker for the Bengals.
Shayne Graham was really good at this
Here's
time.
Palmer, timing pattern, over the shoulder grab by Chad Johnson.
Nail it. Ice.
He got separation from McAllister, and Palmer put it on the money.
And going at one of the best defensive players on the field. See, no bump, no jam.
Chris McAllister was good, man. It's just the release.
McAllister doesn't allow him no bump.
It's the release, and he knows he's got safety help, right?
No jam.
So the release just gives him that. I mean, look at the separation already towards the sideline. And so, especially at this time, this is 20 years ago, I feel like quarterbacks are so much more talented now. When you have a talent at quarterback like the Bengals did here, most corners and safeties will give you this whole shot in between here, in between the safety and the corner. And Palmer would just nail it to the sideline. And you had a guy like Chad Johnson with great ball skills, body control, body awareness, could contort himself if that ball's leaning out even further than this. He would keep his feet in. So it made it very hard to defend them because Palmer could lay it wherever he needed to, and Chad could make a play whenever, on anywhere on the field. So they run the ball a couple times there, call a timeout, kick a field goal with no time left. They win. Cincinnati Bengals win 27-26.
Comes up with the rally win. Biggest win for this organization in quite some time. The Bengals.
And that was the first step in believing that this team was going in the right direction under Marvin Lewis and Carson Palmer and Chad and T.J., and it was fun. So if this works, I'd like to review and watch a bunch of games with you guys. Maybe we live watch. Maybe that's how we get through YouTube's strict credentials there and not get flagged. We can watch it live. We'll set a date and we'll get some drinks and watch some old Bengals games. I think that'd be a good time. In other Bengals news, though, to wrap up the show, Justin Jefferson has signed his mega extension with the Minnesota Vikings. Two things here. Number one, for all of you that were holding out hope of a trade for Justin Jefferson to the Cincinnati Bengals, that is now dead, obviously. It was always dead, right? It just was I think it was a fun thing and something to get excited about during the dead parts of the offseason. But the other end is the cascading effect on the highest paid non-quarterback in the league and what that has on not just every position and the impacts on every position, but obviously at receiver. When we have CeeDee Lamb and Ja'Marr Chase as the next two elite guys that are on the clock here for extensions, we'll see, if I assume Lamb's next here, the Cowboys, the way they do things, it seems like they wait to the last minute. The Bengals are very similar. So if we're saying this is August, remember Lamb and Jefferson were 1 year ahead of Ja'Marr Chase. So it doesn't have to happen this year for Ja'Marr, but at least it gets the ball rolling now. I think it was kind of a stalemate there. Everyone knew Jefferson was probably going to be first. It was going to get a mega deal. I don't think CeeDee Lamb is on the level of Jefferson. I'll be honest with you, I don't think Ja'Marr Chase is either. But I could see both of these next contracts being very similar, if not surpassing them, just due to timing, and that's how it works. So, number one, it's going to be a huge deal for the Bengals and Ja'Marr Chase. It'll be the second biggest deal they've ever given out in terms of signing bonus, guaranteed money, and probably overall, definitely overall for the Bengals. So that will happen. We expect that to happen. Very different feeling than the T. Higgins situation where, for the last 2 years, I would have been shocked if they were able to find a common ground with him. With Ja'Marr Chase, it's much different. I expect it to happen. I expect they have always had this on the horizon. He was an instant star as a rookie. And when you get that, an instant, not just, I said this the other day, I said about when talking about T. Higgins on Twitter, I said, what if the Bengals don't view him as a star? And some people were offended by that. Then they're wrong or you're wrong or whatever. Guys, T. Higgins is not a star. I think you have to be not only a top 5 probably player at your position, but you have to be recognizable and marketable to every fan base and every young kid out there. And Ja'Marr Chase and Justin Jefferson are mega stars. I mean, they have commercials together selling mattresses, right? these guys are at the pinnacle of the position in terms of stardom, and Tyreek Hill, and there's a few other. I think CeeDee Lamb probably is right on the cusp or close to it. But Chase is there, where Higgins definitely is not. Good player, yes. Star, no. Star is rare. Star is reserved. The Bengals have 2 stars on their team, and it's Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And I don't think any outsider would disagree with that. So take a step back for Bengals fans there and realize why the Bengals will pay those players and why it's different for them, why they've always paid the stars on their team, whether that be AJ Green or Corey Dillon, right, or Chad Johnson, and even the Andrew Whitworth offensive lineman. As much as you can be a star, Andrew Whitworth is pretty close to doing that. A lot of that going to LA, and then his post playing career already has kept him in the limelight. But Geno Atkins is an 8-time Pro Bowler. Guys like that, they will pay them, and they've never really struggled to pay those guys. It's the next tier. It's the T. Higgins tier that they have struggled for. So the ball is now rolling on the Jamar Chase extension. It could be anytime in the next year and a few months, anytime before the 2025 season starts. We could get it. I personally would like to see them get ahead of it. I mean, that same type of deal, while you still have the 4th and 5th year coming up, just helps the Bengals eat those cap hits and spread it out. And they've got cap space right now. And if you're not going to give that out to any other real extensions on the roster other than Evan McPherson, if you're not going to give that to T. Higgins, you might as well bump up Jamar Chase this year's salary, get him up to $20 million this year, and then start the ball rolling on what that'll look like. Because I believe it'll be $9 million this year or $10 million this year and $21 million. Actually, I'm thinking of Jalen Waddle's deal when he just signed his extension. Same draft class as Jamar Chase, but I don't think he has the Pro Bowl. This is why you look this stuff up first. And that's why I wrap it up before I say too many stupid things. This has been Bengals on the Brain, episode 89. When we talk more contract details and what that means, I will be ready for that. I wasn't supposed to go that far. I was just supposed to say that the clock is ticking, and I started rambling a little bit there. So, Bengals on the Brain, episode 89, presented by First Star Logistics. Until next time, Houshmandzadeh.
Dave Lapham here, and every day I am grateful for my experience to have played professional football. As a player, I realized self-motivation, leadership, and appreciating your teammates are key. At First Star Logistics, you can use those same attributes to create the life you want for you and your family. Build your future by working hard like I did. You'll see results both on and off the field. Call First Star Logistics today and be part of our winning team.
Opportunity knocking.